Introducing from MDLTONE, Impulse Response Pack 1, Ultimate Heavy Cabs. The most crucial part to nailing a really great guitar tone is not what most people think it is. As guitarists, we tend to romanticize things like guitar amplifiers, pickups, pedals, even the wood that your guitar is made from, but the very last section of your guitar rig or your signal chain is the most crucial element to get right. The guitar cabinet, speaker, microphone, and microphone placement gives the biggest coloration of your tone in the entire rig. By now, it's no secret to most of you guys that I have an absolute obsession with guitar tones, and over the years I've bought and sold tons of different cabinets to try and track down speakers that sound great under the microscope in my home studio. I'd buy a cabinet, get it home, put an SM57 up to it, record all the speakers, see how it sounded. If it wasn't doing it for me, I would sell that cabinet on, buy another one until I found a collection of speakers that I just don't want to part with ever. And all of these speakers I've captured and now turned into impulse responses. But it's not all about the speakers. Microphones and mic placement obviously play a huge role in this final part of your signal chain. And in my 20 plus years of recording heavy music, there's only really two microphones that I reach for when I record guitars. A Shure SM57 and a Sennheiser 421. For the type of guitar tones that I go for, I'd like to cut out all of the option paralysis for you guys and just focus on those two microphones. An SM57 is going to capture a really linear and broad mid-range, which is great for guitars. Then the Sennheiser 421 has a little bit more of a scoop sound, a really nice low end and a lot of high end aggression. And these two microphones can sound incredible when blended together. The objective for me is getting impulse responses that sound exactly the same as my amp and cab sound in the studio. So when creating an impulse response pack, the most important thing for me was to make sure I had a wide range of tones. There's 5 different cabinets and every single speaker in each different cabinet has been captured, and all of these speakers have different sounds and qualities to them. But I didn't want there to be too much option paralysis, so I tried to make things as concise as possible. So for example, on the SM57 microphone, each speaker, there are only 6 different impulse responses per speaker with that microphone. Position 3 on each speaker is my go-to mic placement for that individual speaker. And then as you work towards 0 being dead center, the tone gets brighter. And then there are a couple more impulse responses the other way that are slightly darker than I would normally go for. This means you know what my preference is when it comes to each speaker, but you can go brighter or darker as you see fit, depending on the tone that you're using from the amp. And then when it comes to the Sennheiser 421 microphone, there's even less options to give you less option paralysis, and position 2 is my preferred mic placement for that speaker. Also included in the pack are some mix-ready impulse responses. Now, of course, you can use these in the studio, but I really recommend using them live as well. If you use something like a Quad Cortex, Axe Effects, or even a real amp with something like a Torpedo Live, anything that allows you to import your own impulse responses. The reason these are great to use in a live environment is because I've applied some quite surgical EQ to some of these. A lot of guitar cabinets have their kind of whistly frequencies or areas that I like to notch out, and most front of house sound engineers don't tend to do anything too surgical with guitar tones live, especially if they're in a hurry. The great thing about having these impulse responses in a live environment means the front of house sound engineer can just crank your guitars up, and if they need to make any changes to the EQ of your tone, it can be a bit more subtle depending on the room or the PA that you're playing through. And also within this mix ready folder, there are some impulse responses mimicking some of my favorite album tones. The biggest factor in changing your guitar tone is the speaker, and having a really good speaker is the most important thing in your guitar rig.